All right, what's up? What's up, everybody? How's everyone doing today?
Yo, hello. Good evening to everyone, and we're live. Welcome to our show today, tonight. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever part of the world you are. And again, we're live today with the Resistance Trader community, and with me, your host, James Noven. Of course, you've heard the man a while ago. Tama natin ngayon si Joseph Sylvester from EOS Philippines. Good evening, bro. What's up?
Hey, what's up? How's everything going? I'm doing fine, man. It's awesome. So,
Yes, yes. And by the way, of course, our friend, regular guest in this show, I would like to introduce to our community no other than our friend from practicing law and also the writer of FinTech and First Principles book. By the way, the book is available via Rex Bookstore. Our guest for tonight, none other than Attorney Rafael Padilla.
Thank you very much, James. Sly, thank you for inviting me again.
Hello,
Thank you for
hello.
the call back.
Kamusta, sir?
Very
So, we
well.
have a very interesting topic today.
Mm,
Mukhang marami tayong pag-uusapan about, of course, still cryptocurrency. And currently, you've heard about a lot of things in cryptocurrency in the news. So, there's this SEC thing about the Philippine SEC warning some of the companies that actually minted their own tokens with regard to their own ecosystem. Yes, like, di ba, no? Meron tayong mga nabalitaan like the likes of, well, the unpopular or the, no, yeah, the unpopular Cian coin. Have you heard about that, man?
oh yeah, I have actually, and I'm kind of interested in what's going on with that coin. Hopefully, we'll at least discuss that tonight.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe we can also hear Attorney Padilla in having his insight on this topic. Well, it's like on your perspective as a developer, do you see personally? I know these are, by the way, these are all just our opinions for this particular topic lang. Our opinion on this will be heard tonight on this broadcast, bro. Ano sa palagay mo as a developer? What do you see? Do you see it being feasible actually? Kasi 'di ba, there's this warning coming from SEC that happened with them. And yeah.
Well, do I see it like feasible? Though, well, when I look at it in terms of not including the law, I see it as possible that what coins like what CN coin are trying to do is possible, provided that. But the problem is, it's according to them, according to the project, it's basically they will handle the payment system, which requires them to have some kind of holdings of cash or whatever fiat to make the transfers work in some sort of way. If I mean, not including the law right now, if it is possible, then yeah, I think it can be done. But in the long term of things, I mean, you do run into a lot of risks involved, not only to the business but also to the people who actually use the platform or the service. So it's like a give and take. I mean, yeah, it can be done, but then where's the protection for the consumers? Things like that. But the project itself, I know it can be done. So yeah.
Okay, meaning to say, bro, for your perspective, if Cian Coin has a good technological backing and a good um, market capitalization, meaning to say it's backed properly,
Hmm.
you think it can do good. Pero maybe we can ask din yung insight ni attorney. Attorney, what's your insight about Cian Coin?
So I really think it's just really a scam project. There's really no substance here. I won't spend time really like deep diving into Zian coin, but you see some of the information about this on YouTube, some on Facebook, and the advisory from the SEC summarized some of the alleged features of the platform. It does not make sense at all, and it's plainly obvious that si Gaza is just attempting to create some scheme to obtain money from the public. And it's like the strategy is this: make it extremely obvious that it's a scam, so that people will. It's like a reverse psychology that this is a scam, then and you're invited to participate in it, and if you know that it's a scam, then you're not really being it's not fraud if you know that it is a scam or something like that, but it is really a scam. And also it's good that the SEC has issued this advisory, if only to confirm to the public that not because Sian Gaza here is using cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology, then this is outside the scope of the securities regulation framework. You see, here in the Philippines, our law on securities regulation require these so-called securities, shares essentially financial instruments and other investment contracts, to be registered first with the securities regulator, the SEC, before they can be offered to the public, subject to very limited exceptions. But that's the general principle. And in this case, it's very obvious that what Zian is offering is promising profits. This is really an investment contract, and he did not register this with the SEC. So it's really a scam. On a hypothetical scenario that he registered it with the SEC and SEC approved it. Again, just a hypothetical scenario, because it's impossible for something as absurd like this to be to pass the regulatory scrutiny of a government agency such as SEC. But
Mm-mm.
hypothetically, assuming it does succeed, I don't think this project has some legitimate substance,
Mhm.
and it will just fail. And so people will lose money here, except those who are closely associated with the Zian Gaza.
Sige. Attorney, follow-up question on that though. Kasi 'di ba, we have like apps, mobile apps. Hindi sila powered by cryptocurrency or blockchain, but they are actually have their own currency or token. For
Yeah,
example, mga
unit of
apps like,
account.
yeah, sina Grab, 'di ba? Just to name a few. Meron silang mga Grab credits. For example, sina Shopee, sina Lazada, they also have their own parang token, no? They tokenize it, but though it's not blockchain based, well, we can
They
say
just
it's
have a unit of
tokenized.
account which you can use in the ecosystem.
Yes. So ngayon, my question is, if for example, Cian coin, well, example lang, hypothetic then, just what you have mentioned a while ago, actually gave you this possible payment gateway portal that instead of using Grab credits or Shopee credits, or whatever credits, you can use Cian Coin, and it's powered by blockchain. Hypothetically speaking, what do you think is gonna happen? Do you think it's gonna be a good, a
Well,
good project?
if the design of the platform is similar to Grab or the other e-commerce platforms that you mentioned, okay, and it's just a matter of branding it with
Mm-mm.
Zian, right? There's no problem there. But the thing is, there is a unit of account in Zian's platform, and that unit of account, according to him, right, will appreciate. And that's demonstrated. And the projection is even highlighted in the website of ZNU, where he has mentioned, and this has been quoted in the advisory, where he says the projection is by October, the price of the token will be 50 pesos. By February 2021, it's going to be 60 pesos. April 2021, 70, and then May 2021, 90 pesos, and so on and so forth. So statements like that imply to the public who may buy this token, right, that the token's value will appreciate, and therefore it presents some opportunity for returns, no, or gains. The Grab in granting you credits for your usage of their platform, don't promise you that those credits will appreciate. They just tell you that you can use this within the network of merchants that are partnering with Grab. No? So the focus more is on the use of those unit of account rather than the speculative aspect of the unit of account, such as Zian coins, no, the
Yeah.
XNC. So totally, yeah. If he just wants to have a coin and name it Zian coin, which will be a unit of account in an e-commerce platform designed similar to how Lazada or Grab or Shopee works, fine. But this one is totally different from those e-commerce platforms.
Understood. So, attorney, that thin line of giving projections of future returns, no, to qualify your statement, yan yung parang nagiging pinaka deal breaker kung bakit SEC is giving such warnings. Kasi sabi mo nga, unlike the Grab credits, or for example, yan sina Food Panda, yung mga e-commerce platform, they do not promise any return, if any, diba, in the future. Pero si Cian Coin is doing such thing, so it deviates from that particular purpose of becoming just a token. It becomes like a value, an asset that a security, rather.
Absolutely.
On a
Yep.
legal definition, parang ginagawa niyang security ito
Yep.
para maging
It is really a security. It's very clear. Yeah. It's very clear if you ask a securities regulator. It's very clear if you ask a legal professional that this is a security. And it's a fraudulent one.
I see. So, yeah, that enlightens us of what's happening now, no? Kasi this is a very recent news that happened, no, this month.
Hmm.
Talking about the warnings. Well, marami na yan. Maybe you've heard also of other token projects like, well, ito, sikat to sa, sa Philippines eh. Have you heard of the XUM token? So may mga,
Um,
even in our community, may mga, may
ah,
mga
yes,
subscribers yan.
in fact, the SEC has already issued an advisory there for XUM. I honestly don't know XUM, but I just know that the SEC has already issued an advisory against XUM. So there you go. Yeah.
Oo. So these
So,
are warnings that's happening left and right,
but
no?
yeah, let me just tell our audience there's no gray area here. Or it's not like we did not expect the SEC to issue this advisories. against Cian Coin or against XUM. It's just really, these projects are doing this blatantly, publicly, as if this is fine, as if this is normal, as if they're not breaking the law. And it's just really a matter of time for the securities regulator, for the government to catch up. And now, just 2 days ago, June 21, the SEC has already issued an advisory against XUM.
Yes, yes. So medyo mainit nga yan kasi alam mo kahit dito sa neighborhood namin, attorney, kwento ko lang, they're expecting that their money's gonna go back. Kukwentuhan dito. Nakangiti si Sly kasi he knows this mga scheme eh, di ba?
Well, a little
And
too
like,
well.
yeah, my neighbors here, bro, they were talking like they put money there. They were expecting to return. Tapos, yan, nagbigla nag-issue ng warning si SEC. Now, namomroblema sila after that issuance. Kaya,
Dapat yung
we,
problema sila dati pa.
oo.
Kasi it's ano
Actually,
eh,
yeah,
I think I guess we just really have to educate as well the market and the community. Things like this should be very obvious. It's not like the debates that we're having when we're talking about whether Ripple XRP is a security or whether USDT Tether is a security. Those kinds of like controversies or debates are really something that is
holds water. It
difficult to
holds water.
settle. Courts will have to settle them at the end of the day, right? But scams like this, Zian coin or XUM coin, it's very obvious they did not have to wait for an advisory from the SEC. The best way to protect themselves is for them to not participate in the first place. So there's really no way to justify these kinds of projects. And I don't think you
Well,
have to be knowledgeable in the law to understand the legal problems with investment products such as this.
yeah. Pero alam mo naman, attorney, di ba? The promise of future returns
Oo.
is
Tsaka,
music to Filipinos' ears.
at
Yan
saka
ang
mas
kanilang ano.
Tsaka marami, isa pa sa problem talaga natin dito sa Philippines is yung problem ng financial exclusion eh. Lalo na yung pagdating sa mga investment products, no? Legitimate legal investment products. And daming ang Filipinos don't even have a bank account eh. Just to enable them, allow them to save money. And they have far less options for investment opportunities. I mean, the government, they're trying to democratize ways to allow individuals to invest in bonds, for example. And I think when it comes to the in financial markets, even the Philippine Stock Exchange is very aggressive as well in promoting and making it easy for users to have exposure in stocks, right? Nevertheless, I think there are still many financially excluded Filipinos who don't have access to investment products. And so if you have situations like this, then they become easier targets for scammers and illicit actors who might offer them, seduce them of substantial gains to part with their money. So, yeah, that's really one of our problem here in the Philippines.
Well, to support that, attorney, you made mention of banks, no? And our financial inclusion problem. Ang statistics dyan would be 80% of Filipinos are still unbanked. Diba? But ito, lagi ko sinasabi to every time we give webinars, lectures. Pero we have more than 100% penetration pagdating sa cellphone,
Yep.
mobile phone. Well, diba? What does that mean? That means, kasi diba, we know, alam natin that cryptocurrencies are actually powered, pwedeng dumaan sa mga mobile phones.
Yeah.
So that means to say we can actually get them covered.
Yeah.
Having
You
said
can
that,
bypass banks. So
yes,
there's really we need really a paradigm shift when we speak of financial inclusion. and not base it anymore on the existence of a bank account. Because
Yes.
financial inclusion with technologies like blockchain technology, right? Financial inclusion, and also even EMI, no, as a technology, mobile wallets as a technology. Aside from that, more relevant to our subject, right? Technologies like blockchain now have changed the paradigm such that we don't equate financial inclusion anymore with being bank or unbanked, di ba? So you see, you remember before si Omizigo, di ba? One of the projects in our space, their motto is something like unbank the bank, di ba? And one of my favorite podcasts in this space is Bankless, right?
Mm.
Bankless. Kasi really, right, the provision or the facility of financial services no longer need to latch on banks and having a bank a bank account, diba? So yeah, you're right. As long as you have a mobile phone, no, diba? That mobile phone can be the platform that could allow you to avail of financial services. And we're not just talking about installing digital banking apps in your phone. You can skip that, and you can still avail of basic financial services. That's exactly what blockchain technology and decentralized finance is doing.
Yes, yes. No, we can have a separate topic siguro about DeFi, no, next time. But for our topic today, ayun, speaking of financial inclusion and yung mga ano no, yung mga instruments of money, yan. Lately we've heard about this latest news internationally. You know, we have an international news, particularly in the Americas, that a country in South America actually made Bitcoin, this cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, a legal tender with a justification stated that they want their countrymen to have financial access because what they're using right now, if we will look at their financial history, economics and all, economically and politically, they're using the US dollar as a legal tender. They really don't have their own currency. And now they actually legislated into shifting it to Bitcoin, a cryptocurrency. Now, what's your insight about it, attorney?
So they used to have before their own currency, but it has been very unstable. It's always subject to speculative attacks, volatile, very weak. So what happened is they eventually outsourced their monetary policy to the Federal Reserve by decreeing USD as legal tender. That's exactly what happens in these countries that experience this phenomenon that is called dollarization, where they introduce laws to adopt dollar as the local official currency and legal tender. That's basically what happens. No? So what's my take on this? So I'm actually not very happy about this law. I have no issues. I have no problems with governments adopting a Bitcoin standard. I have no problems with governments supporting initiatives that would encourage people or incentivize people to use Bitcoin because for whatever reason, maybe because Bitcoin is a better technology, whether Bitcoin is a better money. Right? My only issue really is we have a law, and that's lay Bitcoin, in Bitcoin law of El Salvador, that now forces 7 million people, 7 million Salvadorans to accept Bitcoin, right, as payment for debts. No? So I have serious issues with that because I believe money is created by the market. It's the market that accepts and decides what money is. And in the 20th century, we've started to develop this maxim as if it is an established economic principle that governments can create money. No? That has become the standard, the norm. And in fact, by 1971, di ba, money is purely created by fiat of governments, no? Or what is referred to by Saifedean Amos as the fiat standard, no? So they're forcing people to accept money. Okay, there may be legitimate reasons why governments should do that, especially when it comes to management of monetary policies. But if you ask me about Bitcoin, Bitcoin is a money, sound money that was established by the market. Many of us here in the community, you James, you Sly, we use Bitcoin, right? Not because somebody forced us to accept Bitcoin,
Mm-hmm.
but because we thought it is sound money. We may be wrong. We may be wrong, but we believe that. All right? We believe that it's sound money and it's a money that we should use. It's more sensible. Bitcoin has a more sensible monetary system compared to other fiat currencies, including US dollar. Yes, we believe that. But I just don't think it's a good idea to force that belief on other people, right, including millions of people, including something that is being forced by the government. So that's my main issue there. And the other is just incidental matters, because again, I support and I encourage governments to support adoption of Bitcoin. And I mentioned earlier Bitcoin standard and how I foresee the possibility of governments adopting a Bitcoin standard. In my view, it is not necessary to make Bitcoin as legal tender, right? Just in order to allow the government to establish a Bitcoin standard. The way they should do it, in my view, is that they should have reserves of Bitcoin, all right, and then they issue their own currency that is backed by Bitcoin, right? That's how they should implement a Bitcoin standard. But right now, what's strange is the Fed, the central bank or the monetary authority in El Salvador, or the El Salvador government itself is not even interested or is not saying anything on whether they're going to hold Bitcoin in the government's balance sheet. No, so that's kind of strange, because for me, in my view, I think the first step towards Bitcoin standard is central banks, Federal Reserves, monetary authorities would be holding Bitcoin as part of their Bitcoin reserve and not necessarily decreeing that Bitcoin should be a legal tender. Because if we can clarify to our audience what legal tender means, no, when we say legal tender, that means this currency is required to be accepted by any individual, all right, or corporation or company as payment for as payment for the extinguishment of debt or obligation. So that's what legal tender means. It's not just making it an official currency, because the term official currency is vague. This is not like just sponsorship. That the El Salvador government is now sponsoring Bitcoin, and now they're saying Bitcoin is now the official currency. And that sounds cool. No, when they, in this context, being an official currency means it is a legal tender. And as legal tender, people are now forced to accept it. And I think that's really a bad thing, especially because most of us in the community come from an Austrian economic background. And we don't believe that, that people should be forced to accept money, and that it's the market that creates money rather than government decreeing it by force of law.
Okay. So two things, attorney, no? Just to clarify din. May question na ako. Kasi ako, my personal take on that, sabi ko nga, my view of El Salvador, kasi 'di ba, it's like a small country that being dollarized by the United States. So the United States actually is a superpower, both politically and economically. Now, it's using its clout. So, dito sa mga maliliit na bansa na to. And the government of this small country is trying to, uh, fight back, or for the lack of better terms, trying to fight back, or it's trying to stand on its own ground by using Bitcoin as their legal tender instead of the current US dollar. So, ikaw, ano ba
Does
sa
not make
palagay
economic
mo?
sense. It
Ha?
does not make economic sense. What they can do, what they should have done is to hold Bitcoin in their reserve asset and then issue their own currency backed by Bitcoin. I know why they can't do that, because they cannot also assure or guarantee that the price of their currency will be stable, even if it is backed by Bitcoin, right?
I see. I
But
see.
but forcing again, and for me, forcing people to accept Bitcoin simply does not make sense. And we will see this. We will see this whether people will gravitate towards Bitcoin. Yeah, and you see the problem in El Salvador. They still have two legal tenders there. So those two current. It's not like they abolished
Dollar.
the policy of the dollarization, right? Um, Dollar will still remain as legal tender. And the funny thing is
Ah.
when you read, right?
Mm-mm.
There are two legal tenders in El Salvador right now. US dollar remains to be a legal tender. Alternatively, Bitcoin is a legal tender.
Okay.
And the weird concept here in lay Bitcoin is the official unit of account, all right? It's still US dollars. US dollar, not Bitcoin. That is still the
Mm.
official for accounting purposes, Article 6 of the law states that for accounting purposes, USD will be used as reference currency, which
Oh.
means that in El Salvador, despite the status of Bitcoin as legal tender, right, the official unit of account is still USD, because according to them, for accounting purposes, USD will still be used as a reference currency. And I think this will be embarrassing. You know why? I think we will see here two competing currencies.
Uh-huh.
And the chances, I'm afraid to say, right, because there are two currencies that are being used. There are two options. And it will be sad, it will be embarrassing if we see the people of El Salvador gravitating towards using USD instead of Bitcoin. Because you see, this law is intended to encourage adoption of Bitcoin, but at the same time, US dollar is still a legal tender under this law, and we'll see which legal tender will be adopted by the Salvadoran market here. Okay.
So,
Okay lang kung matatalo ang
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 US
Bitcoin, ang
dollar.
Bitcoin
Mm-mm.
versus a legal tender eh. So legal tender versus free market money, 'di ba? Tapos talo yung free market money, okay lang eh kasi nasa early stage pa naman tayo. We don't expect naman free market money to win at this point eh. Pero ang nakakahiya dito, if you have a legal tender money in the form of US dollar, and as a fiat currency that is a legal tender money in the form of US dollar, and another legal tender money, which is Bitcoin, and Bitcoin loses, then that tells you that the market rejects Bitcoin as money, no? In the
Mm.
Salvadoran
Mm.
economy.
Makes sense. Pero may question ako dun about that. Parallel to, for example, gold as a standard. Kasi di ba before the fiat standard, gold was the parang backup of currencies. Was there a time, alam ko there was a time, no, in the past that gold also serves as a legal tender for some countries. It's a currency, like
Not
particularly
exactly.
in Europe,
Not
'di ba?
exactly.
Mm.
Not
Siguro ngayon,
exactly.
pero in
Oh.
the past ba, 'di ba, Tony, in the past, gold talaga yan bago magkaroon ng fiat,
Ganito
gold
kasi
yung
yan eh, ang
ginagamit nila.
history niyan eh. You're partly correct there that gold is legal tender, but they used to have a currency. But those
Ah,
currencies are actually representing specific weights of
okay.
Bitcoin. Bitcoin of gold.
Of
No,
course.
so yung pag sinabi nating dollar, British pounds for example, di ba? Pound sterling, right? All of those, what else? Franc, di ba? The other currencies, all of this, peso, no? All of these are actually weights, no? Representing specific weights. Hindi lang yung basta pinangalan, but they represent a specific weight in terms of grams, no? Of gold, no? So it's that the currency represented by a specific weight of precious metals in the form of gold or sometimes silver or sometimes bimetal, gold and silver. That is the currency that is the legal tender. Yung gold, you said earlier, was there a law before that required gold as legal tender? The answer is no. We subject to the explanations that I've said earlier, that dollar is actually a representation, a specific representation of a weight, specific weight of gold. No, dollar was never a legal tender in many countries. No, historically, the reason for that is there's no need to force people to accept dollar because the market already people accepts dollar. Sorry, let me backtrack. I'm not referring to dollar, I mean gold. Okay, gold. Gold does not have to be a legal tender. And the reason for that is because there's no need to decree gold as legal tender because people freely accept it. It's money that is acceptable. It's the market who have decided to accept it. No, it's a societal norm that people accept gold as payment of obligations. It's the market force that decree it. It's not by force of law.
I see. I see. So meaning to say, what really happened was gold is the standard that backs up the currency
Yes,
as a
yes,
legal
in those
tender.
legal, yeah, and so those currencies are backed by gold, specific amounts of gold, and then the government forces people to use those currencies, and that's
Okay.
exactly what legal tender laws are.
Okay.
Pero again, let me clarify, gold itself, I don't know this 100% for sure if there is any government who has decreed gold as legal tender. But
Okay.
from what I know, there's no government who has done that. And it's simply because it is not necessary to do so. Because why would you force the people to accept gold when people are freely accepting gold? Because it's really the yeah that the money that has been chosen by the market to for the settlement of transactions.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. Tama, tama. So, ibig sabihin, this is what you're suggesting should happen
Oh yes,
for
oh,
Bitcoin,
Bitcoin.
no?
Yes,
As a,
yeah. This will be
oo.
a gradual process. We don't expect this to happen instantly or in the next 10 to 20 years, but people will just quickly and organically accept Bitcoin, no, as an acceptable currency. In the same manner, is this difficult to comprehend? I don't know, but for me individually, I'm very happy for when a client pays me in Bitcoin. I'm very happy about that because I simply see Bitcoin as a sound money. And
Mm-mm.
we just somehow project because we believe in the merits of Bitcoin that eventually other people will also realize it. And then there will be this exponential growth and network effect. Everybody uses Bitcoin to settle their debts, so everybody will use Bitcoin, and then it's the market. It's the chosen money of the market rather than a money that was forced by the government or rather than a money that is just being used by a sub-community or a small portion of community, which is the scenario today, right? That not everybody accepts Bitcoin, that's fine. But there are definitely a small community. It's a small community, but it's exponentially growing of users who are happy to accept Bitcoin as payment.
So, ibig sabihin, on what you made mention just a while ago, just now rather, legal tender and the medium of exchange actually, sa medium of exchange, hindi sila necessarily parehas. Well, it
Yes,
can, oh, kasi 'di ba parang
they can
we as
coincide.
yes, we as Bitcoiners or who accepts Bitcoin as payment, we actually can use tayong dalawa if we trade, we can use
Money.
Bitcoin as money or a medium of
Yes,
exchange. But it
yes,
doesn't necessarily mean that it should be a legal tender.
yes.
Hindi kailangan, ano. So
Oo.
what you're saying is
Brother,
in El Salvador, they are enforcing it as a legal tender
oo.
for people to make it as a medium of
To use
exchange.
it. Yes, to use
Nire-reverse
it.
nila yung yung process ng ng
Oo, fino-force
moneyfication.
nila nagiging artificial eh. Instead
Okay,
of
okay.
an organic adoption. And I have no problems with government influencing this outcome. Right? If they want to influence, di ba, the people of El Salvador, the economy to adopt a Bitcoin standard, to use Bitcoin, fine. I have no issues there. Right? My issue is the government forcing. And I'm not talking also about the constitutionality of this. I don't know Salvadoran law, if this is constitutional or not. It doesn't matter. What I'm saying is, it does not make economic sense. It is unethical according to some of some of the some members of the community as well who doesn't agree to this, diba? Yeah, but it's not necessarily illegal. I'm not questioning whether they can do that or not, legally speaking. It's their law.
Okay, okay. Agreed. So, ibig sabihin, yun, di kailangan na maging legal tender para maging medium of
Maging money.
exchange.
Maging
Oo,
money,
para
yes.
maging pera siya. So,
Oo.
pera or money is
Mm.
actually, sound money is actually something that, if not, generally speaking,
Oo.
being accepted as a medium of exchange,
Oo.
which will actually, for example, kagaya halimbawa sa mga communities like yung mga yon very popular. Hindi to cryptocurrency pero maybe you're hearing about this yung dito sa social media hype in the Philippines, particularly yung mga Laika Gem, di ba? Laika Gem is now being accepted as a medium of exchange by some establishments.
Mm-hmm.
And wag tayo lumayo, balik tayo sa cryptocurrency. We see right now proliferating yung mga mga gaming community. I don't
Yes.
know, 'di ba, naririnig natin ngayon tong popularity are arising of this latest crypto game na tinatawag na Axie Infinity.
Axie
So,
Infinity.
oo, si Axie Infinity meron tong meron silang they have their own currency inside their ecosystem, and the gamers community, ng mga naglalaro ng Axie Infinity, they're actually accepting that currency
SLP. Mm.
o SLP, yung tinatawag na SLP currency inside the ecosystem and even outside, no? Buying something within the community using the SLP outside the game itself. Like for example, gusto nilang bumili ng other cryptocurrency, they're using it right now eh. Then this is community based, community
Oo.
powered money, 'di ba? So may mga question diyan yung mga audience natin. Paano ba nangyayari na, 'di ba? Kanina pinag-uusapan natin kanina sina Cian Coin, sina XUM,
SUM.
they're like scammy. Now
Oo.
here comes SLP, another cryptocurrency. But meron siyang community that backs it up.
Oo.
What makes SLP, the likes of SLP, different from XUM or Cian Coin? And ano yung attorney, bakit natin, no, enlighten natin yung mga audience natin. Bakit sila napapalitan ng pera ng ng fiat or ng legal tender, 'di ba?
So your first question, how is it different from
Yes.
scammy coins like SUM and
Mm-mm.
Zion
Mm-mm.
coin? Okay, so the XUM and Zion coins are basically tokens that are being sold to the market with the promise that they will appreciate in value. On the other
Okay.
hand, XLP is a token that is has been developed as a native token, right? May use yan eh. May use yan doon sa ecosystem. I don't follow Axie Infinity that much, but I think you can use SLP for breeding yata.
Yes, yes.
Right.
Actually, you're correct.
Diba? For breeding.
Right.
So that has a use.
Mm-mm.
It has usage. It's not being marketed as a financial product, as an investment product, something that will appreciate. So there is
Mm-mm.
a use, there's a utility for that. There is a utility value for it, for this asset. It's a digital asset, right?
Yeah.
And starting from the fact that it has a utility value, this asset can eventually evolve as something that the people might find valuable that they can use as a medium of exchange, the so-called exchange in value, as long as somebody is willing to accept it, right? It always starts that way. Even in like gold, like first it was used as collectible because it looks good, it's shiny, you
Shiny.
can
Yeah.
use it for jewelry, and then eventually it organically grows to be used not for its utility value, but rather for its exchange value, the fact that it is exchangeable. And that grows organically in the community. And as you have described, we are slowly seeing that in Axie Infinity. We are also seeing that since 10 years ago, maybe 11 years ago, in Bitcoin. It's gradually growing and growing and growing. Kaya nga, I don't think it's needed for governments to force people to accept Bitcoin. If we are correct that Bitcoin makes a lot of economic sense, that it is sound money, that it is a better monetary system, people will eventually realize it. Or even if they don't realize it, maybe their colleagues will, their peers will, and then because their peers are using it, they will use it too. That's exactly what network effect is. We don't force people to use whatever currency. So same
Yeah.
case with this XLP. Nobody forced these users, this community
Mm-mm.
to use it. They just it just organically happens
Mm-mm.
because in the mind of these users, they find this token valuable and that it's something that can be exchanged. You have a second question. What is that again?
My second question is, 'di ba, yeah, paano ba nagkakaroon 'to ng monetary values? Kasi 'di ba, yeah, comparing to comparing with other coins, Ethereum, Bitcoin, 'di
Okay.
ba, and other currency to that USD, yung fiat. But SLP now was starting to have some value and it's not cheap. Nasa 6 pesos nga yata, mas mahal pa nga sa piso ng value ng SLP today. So if you will look at the statistics now, nasa 6 pesos yan per SLP.
Okay.
So now, pwede mo siyang ipalit to pesos or dollars or other cryptocurrency. And some of our users or our viewers today, dito sa broadcast natin, they might wonder, paano ba nagkakaroon ng value tong SLP? Di ba? Paano siya nagkakaroon saan nade-derive yung value niya? Yeah.
Yeah, let's start first with the premise that value in the first place exists in the mind of a person, right? It's subjective, it's always subjective, it's never objective. We can have some metrics or some factors to arrive at that valuation, but that valuation, the end of the day, is subjective and exists in the mind. No? But why is this considered valuable by many of its community members or its users? Yeah. It's because of at least two factors. One, the utility value. Second is the so-called speculative value. When we speak of utility value, as we discussed earlier, that thing, SLP, has a use, and we can see it already that it's being used in those platforms. Diba? To breed yung mga Axie Infinities. Even those Axie Infinities are valuable because there's a marketplace where you can buy them. Am I correct? That's how it works?
Yeah, that's
Yes,
pretty
But,
much
but
it.
actually,
that,
if you're familiar with NFT, attorney, yan yun.
oo.
NFT si Axie
Yes,
in
yes.
itself. Oo, NFT siya.
I'm just
Kasi,
not so the Axie Infinity is very popular. We always hear it in the community. I just don't closely follow it, but that's also how I understand it. You want to breed Axie Infinities. Yun din ba tawag nila doon? Axie Infinities.
Axie, yung
Axies.
the
Axie.
the
Oo.
character is an Axie.
Oo. You
Mm-mm.
want to breed them because they have a market value. Because there's a marketplace where you can sell them. And in
You can
fact,
play with them too. Kasi
huh?
game siya, 'di ba?
Yes.
Pwede mo siyang
Yes.
laruin. Mm-mm.
Pwede mo siya laruin pero pwede mo rin ibenta. And there's a marketplace where you can sell them. And you can test it whether you can sell it or not. Eh. Di ba? It's just as easy as putting a price on it and then see if somebody buys it. And we have seen that somebody actually buys.
Yeah,
So
it's
but you
selling like
need,
hotcake ngayon, sir.
all right,
Wow,
so
'di ba?
you need SLP to breed. So you see that that has a value. That has a utility value. What's the exact value of that? Again, it's a state of mind. No, I mean it's something subjective. Very difficult to estimate that. It's not like in the case of Bitcoin, where the utility value of Bitcoin is somehow can be determined by, for example, what do you need to mint Bitcoin? You need ASIC miners, no? You need computers, you need electricity, you need all that. You factor that in the cost of production and you see some baseline value for Bitcoin. And the rest of that is now influenced by this so-called speculative value, the second thing that we want to talk about, SLP. Now, speaking of the speculative value so I don't know exactly what is the utility value, how much is the utility value of SLP, but definitely a substantial factor or aspect of that current price of SLP, if you say it's around 6 pesos right now, is speculative value. And there's nothing, and that's not necessarily wrong. That's not necessarily bad. SLP is a new system. Sorry, Axie Infinity is a relatively new platform, right? There is a wide room for growth, opportunity for growth, and you can really project and take risks. You can fail, no, but you can also succeed, no, but you can take the risk, and because the risk is high that this could also fail, of course we're rooting for them that they will succeed. But if we're being honest, that's not assured. All right, but at least for those people who see that this can really grow, right now they're pricing the token
Mm.
really high, no, because of that
Eh, tsaka kailangan mo talagang
value.
i-price yung token kung player ka or breeder ka. Kasi
Yeah.
you actually use that eh. Sabi mo nga,
And
you have utility for that.
And
Mm.
it's not only our projection on the success of Axie Infinity that affects the speculative value for this token, which is again an aspect of the price. No, more importantly, the token holders react to market demand, diba?
Mhm.
So that's also a factor in the analysis of the speculative value of the token. But for me, that's not wrong. That's not necessarily wrong because
Yeah.
yung speculative value influences the liquidity of this token eh. And because the token is liquid, more people are happy to exchange it eh.
Yeah. Mm.
Right? So all of this are interrelated, right? So part talaga nung market yun eh. And the efficient working of the system eh. The people will price the token maybe high for you, but maybe it's high for me, but somebody's willing to buy it, right? No, now the token becomes liquid.
Mm. Ang galing, ang galing. So, ibig sabihin, attorney, no, there's two sources for value. One is the use value, kung
Yeah,
ano yung
utility
gamit
value
niya,
or
the
use value.
utility, the use value. This is economic terms, no? The use value, and of course, it's
Speculative value.
exchange value, yung which is speculative.
Yeah, you're right.
The
Yeah,
exchange
we
value
can
is
speak of
speculative,
utility value. Tapos meron din tayo tinatawag na exchange value.
which
Meaning
is
to say,
speculative.
certain assets or commodities are valued highly because of their ability to be exchanged.
Yeah.
Yun lang yung ibig sabihin natin ng value in exchange or exchange value. Alright?
Mm-mm.
And then also we refer to a related concept, yung speculative value. No?
Mm-mm.
Which is again, it's not wrong kasi kahit sa sa traditional
Money market.
financial markets,
Mm-mm.
meron ding speculative value eh. If a new company just recently IPO'd, di ba? Ang taas din ng speculative value eh. Or if this is
Yeah.
a technology company like Tesla, ang taas din ng speculative value eh. But eventually, magkakaroon ng convergence. Tapos yung token will be priced more importantly because of its utility rather than its speculative value. Kasi habang tumatagal as nagkakaroon ng maturation, nagmamature yung technology or nagmamature yung company, people will speculate less about it and will focus more on the utility aspect of it. So, we can't tell that. It's the market that will tell that.
too early to tell, rather. 'Di ba? Masyado pang maaga for us to tell what's gonna happen in
In the
the
long term,
future.
yes. In
Mm-mm,
the long term.
mm-mm,
But in the short term, the price right now that we see is signal from the market
mm-mm.
of the value of this token, and it's not zero.
Yep. Galing, ang galing. So, yeah, dami kaming natutunan sa'yo ngayon, attorney, no? As usual. Thank you very much for those very wonderful insights. So, yeah, I guess let's see from, no, we have a comment here. Pero yeah, sabi ni Gary, you who daw. No, Gary is watching with us today. So, yeah, hi Gary. Thank you for watching with us. And yeah, so yan, no, ano mga viewers natin today, tonight, this afternoon, wherever you are in the world. So we learned a lot of things today with Attorney Padilla here. And again, no, lagi, thank you, Attorney, for gracing us with your
Very
presence.
welcome. Very welcome.
So,
Happy to
yun.
do this again.
Oo, si Sly, baka meron siyang question or comments before we actually do the announcements later for our community. Yes, bro.
Yeah,
Sly?
yeah. So, in regards to what I actually learned, because I'm listening intensely to these conversations. So, from what I understood was when it comes to the idea of, let's say, a Shan coin or Xian coin, the problem right there is more like a speculative value, and of course, yeah, that was the issue because of the SEC warning. But when we talk about El Salvador, which was actually the better topic tonight, we're talking about the idea that when governments force upon people what is legal tender, the better approach would have been basically saying, hey, Bitcoin, Bitcoin's okay, you can use that, but at the same time, it didn't have to be forced because we're talking about the people's mindset, which is another thing because if you're talking about a population of, let's say, I don't know, 7 million people, within 7 million people, and you can apply that same concept here in the Philippines, you have groups of people, cryptocurrency groups that accept, let's say, Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever, but those are small pockets within a population of a country. But to dictate that, let's say, Bitcoin is legal tender and force it on people, that will work and be okay with small pockets of, let's say, cryptocurrency groups, let's say in El Salvador. But people outside those groups, still, they don't have any idea what Bitcoin is or what blockchain is. And I can see where the problems lie. So,
Yeah.
again, I learned a lot tonight.
Perhaps if I know it's already 8 o'clock, but I just want to respond to what Sly said. Do we still have a few?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
just want to
Yeah,
comment on
please go
this,
ahead.
and maybe we can also answer the question: is it legal for Axie Infinity users, for example, to use SLP as a token, as a medium of exchange? Is that even legal? No? So you have a country like El Salvador who has recently decreed Bitcoin as legal tender, and therefore people can be forced to accept Bitcoin, right? To accept Bitcoin. And again, yeah, compare that to the legal framework in the Philippines, and I think this is good news as far as I'm concerned. Because here in the Philippines, well, obviously the legal tender under the new Central Bank Act is Philippine peso, right? Philippine peso. Fine. Did you know that in our legal history, we used to have this law? It's called the Uniform Currency Act. It's a 1950s law that requires the use of Philippine peso as legal tender, and not only that, prohibits individuals and companies to use any other currency. Bawal. Bawal. And in 1996, we had a new law, RA 8183, that abolished the Uniform Currency Act. Which means today, under the current state of the law here in the Philippines, the law now allow parties to agree that their obligation or transaction shall be settled in any other currency other than the legal tender at the time of payment. Which means basta mag-agree kayo that your obligation will be settled in SLP, or if you want in Bitcoin, o gusto nyo pa Xian coin, you're free to do that because the law
Pwede.
now allows
Mm,
it. And if you
mm.
ask me, this is a more this is a better legal framework that is more consistent with free market, di ba? Underpinnings. The people should be free to accept and agree on the currency that they will use. And I find the current state of the law here in the Philippines more fair and more reasonable, right, compared to this law, the lame Bitcoin, that unfortunately many of in our communities hail as a groundbreaking law. Don't get me wrong, it is a groundbreaking law. It is a milestone. But I am just really critical of that portion of the law that makes Bitcoin as legal tender that can be forced upon people to be
Yeah.
accepted.
So putting it into perspective, you are okay for El Salvadorans to use Bitcoin. You just want to
Yes,
have a framework
it
that's
needs to be their
not the way
choice.
yung implementation nila, no, nung government yung
Yeah, you
ano
know
ka,
why?
yung questioning
Mhm.
ka. Mm-mm.
You know why
And
many, yeah, one of the reason why Bitcoin right now is very strong is because we have rabid group of people that are supporting Bitcoin, 'di ba? Why are they doing that? It's because of their own principles, their belief and volition. All right? We
agree.
rather create this community and grow this community, build this community of people who are freely accepting Bitcoin rather than forcing people to accept Bitcoin.
Agree.
That's
Agree.
my only point here.
Yep. Thank you very much, attorney, for that insight. And by the way, we have a comment in the comment section saying, "Hi, attorney." Yan, hi, This is from someone that you, I think you know, D.I. Denila. Ayan, si Diana. Si Diana Denila is watching with us today. Thank you, Diana, for watching with us. So, yan, galing. Marami na naman kami natutunan kay Attorney Padilla tonight. And thank you for gracing us with your presence,
Very
attorney.
welcome.
We're not yet done. We have some announcement to make. So, announcement to our community. We actually have upcoming programs for our community. One, our partnership with Altas University is ongoing, and we will be launching our course for cryptocurrency market, trading included, on Monday. So, yan. Yung sa mga interesado, just put in the comment section your contact details so we can PM you if you're interested. Write down in the comment section because we will be giving that with scholarship from the community. So yeah, we will be starting our course on cryptocurrency market in partnership with Altash University. So that's it. And again, guys, thank you very much for joining us tonight in this broadcast. Especially, I would like to thank our partner here, si Attorney Padilla, for sharing his knowledge. Never-ending, never-ending sharing of his knowledge dito sa community natin. Thank you, Attorney, and we hope to see you again soon.
Yeah.
Have a nice day to
Happy to be
everyone.
again.
Yes, yes. Happy midweek. So Wednesday ngayon. Happy midweek to everyone. See you again next time. Thank
Bye.
you.
All right, bye
Bye, James.
guys.
Bye, Fly. Bye, community.